Welcome back to Rush Podcasts. The Rush Podcasts are always going to bring you some pretty cool stories of our childhood cancer heroes. Some are survivors, and we get to see their updates. Some are still battling, and we also get to talk with some volunteers who help us do what we do. Today, I am joined by a very special and inspiring hero who is a childhood cancer survivor and awesome baseball player, David.
Hello.
And I'm also joined by David's mom, Marcy.
Hi.
So let's start with baseball. That's a subject that I love, and I know you love. I'm super excited to see you back out playing because I know that makes your heart happy, you're good, and especially after the COVID shutdown, that's got to feel good to be back on the field. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so back when I had what is it called? What is the treatment after the initial?
The maintenance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is that called? It's like what?
You're talking about the chemotherapy you had?
Yeah, chemotherapy. There we go. My mind's just blank.
I love that he cannot remember the name of that. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, that's the best part. When you
That's
stop
great that you can't remember it.
Yeah.
No, I love that you can't remember the name of the chemotherapy. That
Yeah.
hasn't
That's the great part. So when I had chemotherapy, obviously I was like off of baseball because, well, of course it happened like during the middle of baseball season, so I was like I couldn't play. And so when I got back into it, like I found a new love for it because like I didn't know that when I was off it I kind of needed it. So it was really great for me to get back on the field. It was probably like emotional for me too at the time. Now it's more like, oh yeah, I'm on the baseball field again. Happy, have fun, that's it.
It's kind of a release, huh? When you're doing something you enjoy, you're forgetting about all the kind of icky parts of doing that, and you're just getting to be a kid. And I feel like kids who are, whether they're in a sport or whether they're into music or whatever it is that they love, getting to do that, it's letting them be a kid again and not just a childhood cancer kid, just a normal kid.
Yeah.
Does that help you feel like that when you're playing? Yeah. Yeah. And what's cool about this too is, kids who are going to see this that are going through treatment, you're a super big inspiration because you're a survivor, you're back playing sports, and so they get to see this light at the end of the tunnel going, okay, I'll get through this. I'll be like David. I'll have a normal life again, where sometimes it's hard to, you remember when you were going through that? Sometimes it's hard to kind of visualize that.
Yeah, it's kind of, well, for me, you sat there, you didn't think about it, you just got shots and you just blank out and just let it happen. And like my whole thing was like, just get it done. Right, whatever had to be done, just get it done. And so like I obviously, because I was always just like, just get it done, I just forgot like things that I liked. Because I was always like, just get it done.
You just kind of went with the program.
Just what they needed me to do, I did it. Just get it done.
Okay, that's great advice for a lot of us out there. Seriously, stuff we don't want to do, stuff that's hard, just get it done.
Just get it done.
In David's words, just get it done. I mean, were there any surprises? How old were you when you were diagnosed? And were there any surprises along, during the journey where you're like, this is not what I signed on for?
So I was 7.5, I think. It was about there when I was diagnosed. And obviously with the 7-year-old mind, didn't really know what was going on. But like I started piecing it together when I was at St. Jude. when I was diagnosed, I was in this hospital bed. This, what are they? Gurney?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, gurney. And both of my parents, my mom and my dad, were at the end of the bed by my feet crying. I was like, okay, something's wrong.
You're a smart kid.
Obviously, something's wrong. Like, never seen my dad cry this much. And my biggest surprise to me at the time was like how charitable, is that the right word?
Mm-hmm.
It was for like all the doctors and nurses going through. You don't really hear those stories much. Just you hear about like the diagnosed and like all the bad parts, but like the good parts are like all the doctors and nurses and all of them. Like even the janitors were nice. Like everyone's nice, and that's really what it's all about. Because like every doctor and every nurse knows exactly what's going on. You as a 7-year-old don't know that. You're just focusing on how happy and nice these people were. So you were almost distracted by the pain of getting a shot. So, up to you, nurses and doctors. Good job.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Do you know why they're nice?
Do I know why they're nice?
Uh-huh.
Because they get paid to be not kidding.
No, that's not why. That's not why, because I got to know some really well. They're nice because not only are they good people, they care about you.
Yeah.
And they really do. Even from your most affluent doctor to a nurse to a janitor and all of it's important. Every single position's important, and we have so much respect for them all but they're doing this and they're nice to you. They don't have to be nice to you. They can go in and do their job and be done. They're doing it because they do care about you, and that's why, amen to him. Thumbs up to everybody out there who's caring for our kids. Yeah, it's just, that's what, and I love that you said this answer, because I don't know if they always feel the impact they have on these kids, but
yeah, it's also hard for,
you said it perfectly.
Yeah, it's hard for doctors and nurses to see the impact because, well, their impact when a patient leaves, well, they don't see their lives, like how they are doing without like cancer and tubes all hooked up to them. They only see the bad part, the worst part. They're there for the worst part, and that's why it's amazing that they are still nice and enjoyable. Yeah. That's the word? I think so.
Yeah, you're right though. What they see.
Yeah.
Yeah, what they see, you could see if they kind of had 1 degree of separation or just didn't want to like bring their heart into it, but they don't. They do bring it in, and
it's also like some people I know like just don't want to connect to someone because they might lose them. But these doctors and nurses connect to them, and they like to their patients, and they feel the pain as much as the patient does, and their parents, and it really is special what they do.
It is. So I'm sure there were days, even though, your motto.
Yeah.
Still, I'm sure there were days that were harder to get through.
Yeah.
That it was more challenging. How did you get through those? What did you do? I'm sure a lot of it was your mindset, because I can already tell you've got an amazing one. But what did you do to get through them to help you through that?
Lasagna.
David loves lasagna, by the way.
So, honestly, okay.
You're awesome.
Imagine you're going on a vacation, right? What are the things you remember? You remember the places you visit, and you remember the places you eat at, right? Food
helped.
is amazing. Even though that's a horrible way to get through stuff, because it can lead to many bad things. It's a really good way to deal with stuff, okay? It's a really good way. Chalk had the best bacon, so, like, man, the delivery guy at 8 p.m. bringing 25 pieces of bacon was so confused. But trust me, that man was a savior.
How did your cholesterol get through all of this?
Very high, very high.
25 pieces of bacon on a
Yeah.
regular basis. Wow. I guess, you do what you got to do
Yeah.
and to get through it. And,
Yeah.
it's all good.
Steroids are serious.
Yeah, steroids, seriously.
Yes, steroids are a real thing, for sure. I mean, okay. So you have awesome parents. You have an awesome brother. Did you
I don't
see...
know about that.
He's over there. What impact did you see that this made on them?
Well, obviously, my parents had to focus on me because Josh he wasn't the one with cancer. So Josh, even when he was a baby, he was mellow, but now he's had to be mellow. Like, it was a need to be mellow because we had to go with the flow because, well, everything was about me because I was the $1 million child. And when I mean $1 million child, I mean I didn't make $1 million. I mean I costed $1 million. And yeah.
You're worth every penny, babe.
Yeah.
And then some.
That's what I say to myself.
And even more. No, you are. I mean, it's what I love too. Just talking with you is you're a survivor, which is awesome, and just you're a survivor with a great attitude, with a great personality, with a zest for life.
Oh yeah.
With
Float my head.
With a big appetite, especially for lasagna.
And bacon.
And bacon, and I know a lot of other foods. I'm trying to think what else I've seen you eat.
French fries.
French fries.
Very healthy foods too. Very, very healthy foods.
I'm still a little worried about your cholesterol, but okay, so you do have such a good outlook, though. What advice would you give other kids who are going through this, who are maybe struggling a little bit, who maybe don't have the mindset you have? Like, what advice could you give them, or encouragement could you give them?
Well, what encouragement I can get, I can never, like, you can never change someone's mindset, which is probably my main reason why I got through it. But words of encouragement I can give is just stick to it, because at the end of the tunnel, you'll be back to normal life. And maybe you don't even remember what normal life is. So,
Wow.
and that's really difficult, because, like, when I was diagnosed at 7 years old, I didn't have many memories before 7 years old, like, that I can think of right now. There's, like, specific, but but at 7 years old, when I was diagnosed, everything's clear, because it's such a big impact on your just life, and you can't forget it. You can't forget it. And so if you start remembering things when you were diagnosed, it's kind of hard to remember what life you had before you were diagnosed, and that's hard for a lot of people. And that's really what I'm going to say is stick to it, because at the end, you're going to be free, basically. And that's how it felt when I was done with therapy. Be free. You're free from it.
I don't think you realize how profound your words are. Do you? Because,
No.
I mean, I'm sitting here going, that answer blew me away. I mean, it just, that was,
I'm a poet.
I mean, that was heavy. that was an impactful answer, man. And it was just like, that was great advice. I mean, and it was profound. You may not remember stuff before you were sick, and that is a bummer, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel, basically, is what you're saying. Yeah. And, and you will enjoy life again and get back to doing stuff you love. And that's an incredible answer, and that's incredible, like, just wisdom that you've formed,
Yeah, I have a lot of wisdom.
Clearly he does.
I do.
I think way more than me, for sure.
I have a lot.
Okay, let's talk about your pot of gold, because I have some fun memories from it. Tell me what it was like. Tell me how it made you feel, what fun memories you have.
Okay, the pot of gold. Right, let me use my wisdom here.
Oh my gosh.
The pot of gold, I heard of, like, pot of gold, like, once from my mom, like, just talking, just to my dad, just, like, I overheard, like, pot of gold, and I was like, oh, what is that? We're going to Ireland?
Your dad has an accent?
Yeah, dude. I don't know. Maybe he does, and I just can't hear it. But, yeah, he has like,
It's because it's supposed to be a surprise. That's why you don't know about it.
Yeah, that's why you don't know about it. And then my mom asked me, where would you want to go if you want a special place to eat at? And I was like, In-N-Out.
Yeah.
Yeah, In-N-Out's a great
California
place.
boy.
Yeah, California. All day. And so we went to... And then you asked me, like, what would you want, like, for, like, a birthday? I was like, well, the new MLB The Show game came out. I would like that. And so she was like, okay, and then quickly noted it down. No, I'm kidding. That one didn't happen. But, so we went to In-N-Out, right? And then Sandy Barker came from the shadows. Shadows with stallion horses bringing my gifts.
It's a whole table, In-N-Out table full of gold gifts.
Nah, it was an outside table of In-N-Out.
It's safer that way.
Yeah.
To eat outside.
And had the pot of gold right there. It was everything was wrapped in gold. Everything was wrapped in gold. It wasn't an actual literal pot of gold, but it was wrapped in gold. So you understood the reference. And when I sat down, everyone's like, hey David. And I was like, who are you, and who are you? And everyone introduced themselves, blah, 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 right? Basic introduction.
The Grecos.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so we went and ordered food. And then this is a pretty basic story. I feel like I'm first grade telling. And then I went and I got the food. I got French fries and burger. But it's basically how the story is. I'm going to tell it first grade. I'm not going to be a poet. Use my wisdom here. But yeah, so we got the food, right? And then we opened the gifts. I had, with my great wisdom I had a little speculation. I don't know
that
if
you were
that's
getting
right.
an MLB.
Nah, I was going to get an MLB Show. What I got instead from the first package was this blanket. It was from that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the blanket that had my name on it. I think. Was it that one? Yeah, it was that one. It was blue and red. I still have it. Blue and red with baseballs on it.
Mm-hmm. My mom made it.
It's very comfortable. But yeah, that was cool. I was like, okay, well, I just asked for MLB The Show. This is cool. Oh, and I asked for a telescope. I don't know why I asked for a telescope at the time. But I did ask for a telescope. I do remember that. Second package was MLB The Show. My wisdom came in handy. I knew
He knew it.
Yeah,
He was on to us.
I sniffed it out.
It was a little Ralph.
With my great knowledge and wisdom.
I should have wrapped it in a big giant thing.
I would have never sniffed it out.
You shouldn't have told him he was wise either.
Or
profound.
Profound.
Oh yeah, let me use my profound knowledge too. And the third package was the telescope, which was really cool for like 7 days until I ruined it and I broke it somehow. I can't remember how, but it was really cool for those 7 days. So I would recommend a telescope. The MLB The Show game lasted for 3 months, so just a lesson for you out there, kids. Something that is easier to keep inside than to be used outside is much easier to maintain and have fun with, because inside has air conditioning. Outside is hot. Even when you're in the night. This was summer in Southern California. It was still hot. Not fun. Would not recommend. Even though I would recommend it.
What did we get Josh? Because we always do stuff for siblings.
Oh, didn't we get 2 blankets?
Yep.
No, Josh
Oh,
remembers.
Josh got Legos.
Yeah.
And some other stuff. I'm trying to remember what. But, okay. You know what I think of when I think of your pot of gold? Remember?
Wait a minute, what did I do?
The dabbing.
The dabbing.
I don't know how that started.
2016, baby. Dabbing.
Dabbing. We have so many pictures from his pot of gold, and so many of them I can't do.
Everybody's dabbing.
2016.
We're all like, and I don't
beautiful.
know. Yeah, I don't know.
Great year, by the way. Great year. Wish I was back in 2016.
But
Times were simpler.
I mean, seriously, when I think of your pot of gold, I think of dabbing, because I remember there were, like, you guys, all the kids.
Yeah, when I think of
kept
2016, dabbing. I think of dabbing. Wow. That's it. That's what I'm going to remember now from the pot of gold. 2016 dabbing. There we go.
It's just so funny because we have all the pictures, and I'm not kidding. 3/4 of them, of the pictures were of them dabbing. So I don't know, that was funny. Yeah. Okay, so this is a profound question. So this should be good for you.
Okay.
What do you want people to know about you? Not your cancer journey, not about David. What do you want people to know about you as a person?
I have great wisdom.
He does have great wisdom.
I have the most wisdom.
And he's poetic.
I'm very poetic. I'm the most poetic
and
person you'll
lasagna.
ever meet. Yeah, lasagna. I'll make an entire
Where do you put it? Look how skinny. I mean,
story about making lasagna and how you have to take care of lasagna. You have to take it outside. You have to pet it. Okay. You need to feed it too. You don't understand.
It's getting a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Lasagna is very good. Lasagna is very good.
Have you ever had my lasagna?
Yes, I have.
I make it from scratch. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll make you some lasagna.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Very good.
Okay, let's talk to Marcy for a bit. That you have that day when your whole world changed. What was your life like before that happened? Probably normal. Yeah, I know you guys played baseball, which we're a baseball family too, so I love that you guys are.
Yeah.
Tell us what it was like before.
That was actually the first year that David's younger brother is 3 years younger, so he was 4. So it was his first season of T-ball. And David, we had just started practices for, I believe it was, you were in rookie that season? I can't remember exactly, but so it was just a normal. He was in first grade. Josh was still in preschool. We had a great preschool that David had gone through and Josh was in. So we loved baseball. We were doing baseball practices.
Yep.
You know, I'm shuffling the kids around. My husband, David's dad, John, he is a general contractor. So we were fortunate that we work from home. He's got his own business. Everything was pretty much just, average life going along. And there was, he was diagnosed in March. And right before that, probably for about a month to 6 weeks before, he was started complaining about leg pains. And he was just a little more tired. And then he got an ear infection. So I took him to the doctor. And as most moms know, you give them that first dose of antibiotics, and it's like that ear infection starts clearing up, and they just start feeling better. And we did the whole 10 days of antibiotics, and I got a call from the school nurse, and she said his eardrums popped. And I was like, oh, well, okay, I'm taking him for the follow-up this coming week. It just happened to be spring break. And yeah, it was the first day of spring break. We're driving on the freeway, and he's in his car seat or booster seat in the back of the car. And he leaned over and grabbed his chest and just said, "Mommy, my heart hurts." And, I was
scary.
like, yeah. And I mean, and all morning he'd been fine. It was like, no big thing. And then up until then, we'd kind of written everything off of like growing pains and just starting baseball practices. And that his coach was, we're making them run more and stuff than he was probably used to. So we're like, oh, it's just that. So yeah, I turned around, I got off the freeway, I called John, we're on the phone talking about, what should we do, blah, blah, blah. Should I call the doctor's office? And, finally I was like, well, if I tell them that his heart hurts, they're going to tell me to go straight to the ER anyway. Yeah. So that's what we did. We went to the ER. He was mad at me. Yeah. Because he didn't want to go. And of course, everything checked out fine until they checked his blood, and they just wanted to check his blood because of the ear infection that wasn't clearing up. They thought, oh, maybe he's got an infection hiding somewhere that we don't know about. And so then, when the ER doctor came back, he was just like, he was kind of excited, and I was kind of mad at him because, that's not information you want to have, but I get it. Looking back, I get it. He was excited because he had found what was wrong, and they probably caught it fairly early. But yeah, the thing, he came back and he just said to me, so this is what I think it is. I've already contacted Chuck. There's an ambulance on its way. You can't go home. Is there anyone you need to call? And I was like, wait, what? I can't go home to get anything. There's an ambulance coming. And I was like, well, yeah, of course I need to call someone. I'm like, his dad doesn't know what's going on. Yeah. So yeah, that was very overwhelming, because we went straight from St. Jude's ER straight to Chalk and straight into treatment that night. I mean, they started right away. So
it's one of those things you will never forget.
Yeah.
I'm sure even talking about it, you feel like you went right back to that day.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can talk about it and kind of almost go into not automatic pilot because you've talked about it so much, but you still feel that feeling. No parent ever forgets the day, the minute they find out their child has cancer. No parent. So it's one of those things where it just, you'll never forget that. How did you cope? You had a 3-year-old, and you divide and conquer, I know, but how did you handle it?
Yeah. So, we overall, I want to say that, we were fortunate in the fact that David's treatment, went fairly smoothly. We didn't have a lot of complications. Mm-hmm. He ended up being a standard risk protocol, so we were able to go right along the guidelines of a standard leukemia treatment plan for him. He only ended up staying 30 days in the hospital total. So we were able to.
That's rare.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. That I'm like, we're very fortunate. So the first 10 days he was in the hospital, and I only went home once the entire time. And of course, just a funny story, the one day that I went home that night, my in-laws had come out from Arizona to help with Josh. They came out right away, which was great. Mm-hmm. But I go home that one night, and Dad's with David at the hospital. Oh, and I just sat down on the couch, and I'm like, I have my glass of wine. I'm like, sitting there with my father-in-law.
Which is very needed sometimes. Yeah,
I was sitting there with my father-in-law, and, grandma's in bed, hanging out with Josh. They're cuddling in bed together. And I was like, okay, I can just relax for a little bit. Earthquake. There's an earthquake that hit.
It was a ride in the hospital because the hospital is on wheels.
Yeah, Chalk's on rollers. So
it's on rollers.
And so the whole building will move.
It was like everything's like this. It was a pretty big earthquake too and also we were like.
You're fifth floor at Chalk. It's the fifth floor oncology floor.
So we were pretty high
You're rocking
up.
and rolling.
So we were getting
Well,
Yeah.
and it was a strong enough earthquake that all the cell reception went down. So like I couldn't get a hold of them at the hospital right afterwards for a while because I want to say it was in La Habra, so it was like only maybe 10 miles away from the hospital. So cell reception went down. My father-in-law, who's from the Midwest, he's like, "We got to get in the bathtub." I'm like, "No, wait, that's for a tornado." Like, no, we don't get in the bathtub. I'm like,
Get in the
it's
doorway.
yeah.
Doorway.
And so then I couldn't get a hold of them at the hospital, and then finally when I did, John tells me, David wanted it to happen again. He thought that was,
it was fun.
And of course, like I'm at home, like, oh my
course he
God, my kid's in the hospital. He's like got cancer. This is terrible. And there's an earthquake, and I'm not there. And he's like, oh no, David thought it was great. He thought it was hilarious. He thought it was fun.
Because that's David.
Yeah.
Because what's your motto?
Just get through it.
Just get through it. Just get through it.
So, overall, I do want to give a shout out. We just had some really great friends that helped with Josh a ton. Like the preschool that the boys had gone through, some amazing teachers there that just took him under their wing and, made him feel extra special, kept him after for their lunch bunch and gave him special tasks. And then a couple of other really good friends that would drop him off because, as we know, a lot of moms, a lot of families that go through this, you don't know what to expect that day. The day can totally go to hell on you like that. And, you just have to follow how your kid's feeling. We did a lot of outpatient infusion center. So it's like they could be running behind.
Yep.
The doctor might have gotten called away on something else. So it's like I would be scrambling and trying to find somebody to like, hey, can you pick Josh up? Hey, can you watch Josh? And, because John had to keep working and, he's a business owner, so he had to keep doing that. And so, it got challenging for a while, but, David might have gotten a little bit of his attitude from me is like, we just got to get it done. And just kind of, as I said before, it's just kind of, you wake up every day and you kind of figure out like, okay, how's he feeling? Okay, what do we have to do today?
Yeah.
Okay, let's make our plan and do it, get it done.
Well, we know best laid plans.
Yeah,
Childhood
never.
cancer journey, best laid plans often. What I thought you were going to say when you said you went home from I thought what you were going to say when you went home from that one night is that he spiked a fever.
Oh, right.
Because
right.
that happens all
Yep.
the time. And then you're running back,
Mm-hmm.
and you plan as well as you can. But the reality of it, there's so many, peaks and valleys, and you don't see them coming. And so they spike a fever. Oh, they didn't make count, so we can't start chemo on time.
Right.
And it's just you really do have to just go with the flow.
Yeah.
Because you have no control over
None.
if they spike a fever, if whatever.
Yeah.
And so,
Or, right, if they don't make counts, or we had a ton of problems with his central line port towards the end of his treatment. I think just because they weren't using it as much, and so they couldn't not that they couldn't access it, but they couldn't get it to draw or push.
Yeah.
And we'd be in there for 4 hours.
Yeah.
While they're trying to get the line to clear, and he by that time had a pretty severe phobia of needles of any kind. So it was like
understandably.
yeah.
Like so it used to be like a weekly basis.
Yeah.
So when they started spacing it out, it got harder and harder. Because definitely when it became months, every month you would go in and get your shot, it became pretty hard then.
Yeah.
Because you're not used to it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
He and I had a few throwdowns in the hospital a couple times.
No briberies. Do this.
Oh, I'm
and
sure.
There
Oh, yeah.
was a couple
There was
bribes.
Oh,
There
yeah.
were bribes.
There was
There
a lot
were-
of In-N-Out
You do.
stops
Yeah,
on the
there
drive
were.
home, or
A lot of food bribes.
a lot
Get
of
it
food
done.
bribes.
Yeah.
A lot
I
of
could see food bribes would work well for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bacon, lasagna, whatever.
Yeah.
In and
Yeah.
out.
There was a
Yeah,
lot of sure
I
I'll
would've done
download that game on your iPad if you get this done. Yeah.
Yeah. What's great is bribes work for you. They don't work for all kids, but it
It works
worked
better
for me.
then when he was 7, 8, 9 than it works now, because as almost 15.
really even lasagna
Yeah.
and
Well, that might still work.
Lasagna.
What advice would you give parents that are? I mean, you guys went through it so well, and this isn't to downplay how hard it still was on you guys, because no one goes away from childhood cancer journey unscathed. No one.
No.
But you guys really did do well through it. I cannot believe that's all the only, I mean, we were 16 months in the hospital. I can't believe you only spent, that's so wonderful, and I love hearing that. What advice would you give to parents that are going through this, that feel like,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, even I mean, he was 30 days in the hospital, but it was 3.5 years of treatment because, and actually I heard recently that they've changed that for boys, but at the time that he was being treated, it was 3.5 years. So, I mean, it was a long time. But, you know, that's fortunately now that I get to work with families through Gold Rush Care. One of the things that I always tell them is that whatever you're doing today is the right thing to do. And there is no right or wrong in this. Go with your feelings. Assess your kid that morning. How are you feeling? Are you feeling up to doing something? Do you want to get out of the house? Do you feel yucky? Okay, we'll just stay home, you know? And I mean, the other thing that I think probably looking back, and I think John would agree with me, is that you have to try to stay connected as parents. And that's really hard to do because you're separated a lot. And, you know, and especially like this past year in talking to parents through Gold Rush, it's been even harder with the COVID restrictions. I mean, they've been separated for 6 weeks. They haven't seen their other child for so long. So, I mean, anything that you can try to do to keep connected as a family is really important because, I mean, I think you know, too. It's like you feel that separation because you're so focused. I mean, I know I was so focused on making sure he was okay and then making sure Josh was taken care of that it's like something kind of starts dropping out, right? And then, the other thing really is just, you know, don't beat yourself up. Because you will.
That's you will.
You'll beat yourself up, and you'll think, I
advice.
didn't see this. You know, I should. I mean, I look at photos of David the week before he was diagnosed, and I'm like, how did I not see that my kid was sick? But you know, if you see him every single day, you don't notice it. But I look back at the photos now, and I'm like, his coloring's off. His cheeks are sunken in. You know, he was super skinny. He had been losing weight, but you know, he was always a picky eater, so it was like, But don't beat yourself up. Well, he still is, but we have like his 4 food groups, which is bacon, lasagna, French fries, and there's one more.
There's
in and out.
There's some other.
Oh
yeah,
crab legs.
Crab legs.
None of them are cheap. None of this.
I look for the most expensive thing on the menu, and I say, I want that.
Yeah.
Supersize it.
Yeah.
Yep. Double it. I want 2 servings.
I love that advice because I feel like, myself included, there's probably not one parent who looks back on their journey and doesn't beat themselves up.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I studied nursing first. I know medicine, and I still think back, I wish I would have done this. I wish. So that advice right there, I concur.
Yeah.
I mean, that is wonderful advice for parents because it's hard not to. I mean, it's your child that you're responsible for, so it's hard not to do that. And also your comment about, I feel like parents who are going through this get good at triaging. Your marriage is not at the top of the triage. Your child is. So how did you get through that with your marriage? Because I mean, people don't realize how hard it is to you know, on that.
I mean, and you know, we have had struggles as far as like up and down and just being better and worse in the past several years. But you know, I think in the end, it's that we do know that there is a deep love and commitment, and really we're about it for the good of both of our kids, right? I mean, and that, you know, for Josh, making sure that he was okay, and you know, of course, David, because he was our main concern at the time, but that also ties back to one of the reasons why I was so attracted to come work for Gold Rush Care is because the siblings are included, and we know how hard it is on the siblings. And you know, even when I'm saying like, don't beat yourself up, don't beat yourself up because you're not there for your other kid, you know, or kids, because that happens too. And you know
all
that.
The time.
So, you're doing the best you can do. And you're only one person, or you know, a parent team. If you've got grandparents, aunts, uncles, you know, close friends that can help you out, you're blessed. We didn't, you know, we had our closest relatives were in Arizona, and my mom was sick with a chronic disease. So it's like, we just didn't have that good, strong family connection with us. But I just had to think like I'm doing the best I can do today.
Yep.
And you know, if I started to beat myself up, I just was like, you know what though, I'm doing what I can do right now. And this is all I can get done, and that's okay. Tomorrow's another day, and we'll move on then. So, and then the other thing that I always like to tell the parents and families that I work with is that like, you're just doing a great job. Just tell your kid you love them, give them that hug, and you know, when you see your other kids, your husband, your sister, whoever it is, give them that big hug too, because
they need it.
We all need it, right?
Yeah,
I mean, everybody that is affected by this needs it. So.
Well, I mean, like I said, no one's unscathed, all in different ways, but, I mean, we both get how important it is to include the siblings, which again, that's why it's so big on our hearts at Gold Rush, because we know they're left at home with, you know, other family members or a neighbor or whatever. How did you make Josh feel important and that he wasn't forgotten about? And I know he was little, but still, even after it was 3.5 years. You know, so like, what stuff, you know, did you do that? It's little moments here and there, I know,
right?
But like, what kind of things did Josh like to do that you know made him feel special?
Yeah, and that was hard because David dictated a lot of it, especially like the steroid pulse days. When he turned into a different being.
Roid rage. It's called roid rage. It's a real thing, for sure. But so a lot of the times, you know, David would pick where we would go, what we would do, what we would eat. So one of the things for Josh was always like, you get to pick today. You get to decide what we do today. And, you know, then he got to be like in charge. And again, like I said before, I mean, luckily Josh had like some really good friends that have been there, and you know, saying a play date with one of his friends was always like a big thing for him. And I think just trying to spend as much time as I could with him when I was home, because he missed me. You know, I mean, and even when when we're doing outpatient clinic days, I mean, we could be there for 12 hours. I mean, it was, you know, so I'd be gone all day. And then I'd be super tired when I would get home because it's just emotionally draining. It's emotionally draining for sure. And then it's, you know, once he was like considered fairly stable and we were, you know, going when they spaced it out, it's hard to go in and see the other families that you've seen for, you know, 3 years and you don't see them getting better or you hear about a relapse or whatever it is. So it's just, it takes an emotional toll. So so Joshy over there. We'll wrap it up soon. We're almost done. But something I thought about that when we have our galas, I ask the families of the kids we're highlighting, and I don't know why, I just thought I would love to know this from you guys. Going through this whole journey, did you see something in John, and what would you say he saw in you of something where when you're going through it, you saw this in him and went, wow, that's really cool how he's doing this, or how this is really cool how Marcy's doing this. What do you think, you know, to where you were like, I'm really proud of them for this. What do you think he would say about you, and what would you say about John?
Well, for John, I think that I would say that I'm very proud of the fact that he was able to hold it together, keep his business running. You know, I know that the dads, I mean, and I'm generalizing that because I know that it's not always the dads that are out there working like that, but in our case, it was, you know, he was the business owner, and I know he felt a lot of pressure to keep that going and keep like kind of the consistent family life going at home as much as possible. Yeah, it's hard. So really hard. And you know, you know, he'd go to the grocery store for us and he'd make dinner for us, and you can kind of have stuff ready when we would get home. So I know that was like a lot of stress on him and a lot of you know, extra, I don't know if I want to say burden, but you know, it was like keeping your business running, keeping your guys busy, keeping your clients happy, you know, but then also just in the back of his mind, knowing that it was like, but I'm not there with my family. So, you divide and conquer. You have to. And you really have to. So, I mean, I would say that I admire the fact that he was able to just kind of knuckle down and just be able to do that. For me, I'm not sure what he would say about me. You do. Well, okay, what do you think your dad would say? I'm going to let you answer that one.
Well, because I was there. I was in the hospital, and like my mom said, she was gone for one day. Yeah, and that one day was
Earthquake
day.
It's not as relaxing as I had hoped.
It was very fun.
You needed 2 glasses of wine that night.
Yeah. So, I would say, this is me. I don't know about my dad.
I want your input.
From my mom, what I was like most impressed was that she slept in this uncomfortable, like, not even like
it's a chair.
A bed. It was
it's a hard vinyl chair.
Yeah.
Yeah, next to the window, right? And she just hunkered down and just took it like a man, right? Took it like a man and just sat
we're not
there.
Offended at all, but that's okay.
Sat there and slept. And I just thought to myself, that looks more uncomfortable than 5 needles on your back. That does not look fun. Like, I sat in it once, and right when I sat in it,
they are awful.
I hurt myself. I was like, nah. So basically, what I'm saying was, I'm impressed that my mom was very tough through what I was going through. Very tough.
And you knew no matter what, she's there.
She was there.
And your dad is also there.
Financially.
Well, not just financially, but also taking care of Josh and holding down the fort so that your mom could be there. You know, that's kind of what Gary and I did too.
Yeah.
You know, it's just he took care of Garrett and Kendall so that I could be with Christian, because you really do have to divide and conquer.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, you know, if you don't have that, then that's really, really hard. But fortunately, we both did, you know. Okay, well, we're going to wrap it up. I feel like I would love to know, your son's a survivor. Mm-hmm. You've got 2 healthy kids. They're playing baseball. They're loving their life. They're going back to school. What advice, you know, things are going well, you know, what advice would you give both David and Josh, you know, moving forward? Like, he doesn't need any, probably, because he's
I have
got
the
everything.
most wisdom.
He's got wisdom.
He's overconfident.
No, he's got life figured out. But if there was a little morsel of something you would tell him, and Josh, you know, what you've learned, you've experienced so much, you've learned so much, you have so much wisdom. What would you like to share with them before we, you know, sign off on what you would like, you know, and you know what you think John would like them to know, just about life, you know? Yeah.
Well, you know, it's interesting. David had to have a sports physical the other day, and the doctor, you know, had never seen him before, and we had to tell her that, you know, disclose that he had had leukemia and stuff. And she looked at him and she just said, "You've survived something that a lot of people wouldn't be able to get through." Yeah. And take that and do something with it. And I don't know exactly how she said it, but it was kind of like, become the best person you can be. And use that.
Because you got a chance that a lot of people wouldn't get.
Yeah. And so, I mean, and that's not specific to David. I mean, I want to say that to Josh too, is that just live each moment of your day in your life and enjoy it and find something you love. And, you know, whether it be baseball or, you know, they both like cooking. They both, you know, enjoy, Josh loves animals, you know, I think we like traveling, you know, I mean, find what you love and incorporate that into your life so that you are truly enjoying it and making the best of it. And then also try to be able to give back to somebody or something. I mean,
and David does.
Yeah.
You know, like Marcy is very involved with Gold Rush. Helps run so many of our chapters. I mean, she's a vital part of what we do.
Vital organ.
But she's a vital organ to Gold Rush. But
Gold Rush is a body. Everyone, all the members are a certain body part.
Okay.
I know. Can somebody get the hook?
Yeah.
Yep. But it, you know, it's one of those things where you have to just find what you find joy in, and you know, and just make that work. And
and I love it when David is able to come with us, or you know, when he comes to the gala, or you know, one of our events, and I mean, I think that when he's done that, and when we've like done a pot of gold delivery, or he's come to one of the events, he gets more questions than you and I do.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I've seen grandparents talk to him. I've seen parents talk to him because they ask him about their experience, especially if their kids are younger and they're not being able to maybe articulate as well. Like, they're asking David, like, so what was that like? What was that like? And I love the fact that he can talk to them. And
yeah, because a lot of cancer patients, like child cancer patients, are like 5 years old, somewhere around there, and they can't really say what's going on with them. So like, talking to me is like asking their child what is going on.
Yeah.
And it's also a good thing to see that he's healthy and doing well, and he's going to start high school this fall. He's playing baseball. He started his high school baseball camp. You know, he's about to turn 15. We're 5 years out from treatment now. So he just started Survivor's Clinic at Chalk, which was a huge milestone for us. As I know other families that have reached that point, I know it just feels great. So, you know, proud of this kid. Sometimes I want to beat his head into the wall, but, you know, it's with love. It's with love.
Don't hurt the wisdom.
She's beating him. Well,
he's a little too self-confident.
Do you have any last words of wisdom before we sign off? You're full of them. I mean, you've given us so many. And again, that's why what you were talking about a second ago is this is why you're so inspiring. Not just because you're a rock star kid, but these families that are going through it, you're their light at the end of the tunnel. They get to see, wow, I am going to enjoy life again. My kid's going to enjoy life again. He's going to play sports. He's going to do all that. And that gives them hope. And to be able to give a family hope, I can't even tell you what a gift that is. Because a lot of them struggle with that. You know what I mean? So that is like a priceless gift that is pretty cool to be able to give families. Okay, so I'm going to let you end this. I want to thank you guys in advance for doing the podcast with us. It has been very illuminating and super fun.
Yep.
I want to thank all you for joining, and I'm going to let David have the last word here. What's your what do you want to tell everybody out there?
Lasagna.
And just get through it. Lasagna and just get through it.
That's it.
Yeah. Just get through it.
Okay.
Lasagna.
Thank you all for joining. Until next time.